Every man thinks women fall for looks, money, or smooth moves. Wrong. The truth is sharper, simpler, and far more dangerous. Women don't fall for the man who tries the hardest. They fall for the man who speaks the right words at the right time. Words that cut through the noise. Words that hit her psychology so deeply she feels something she can't explain. Words that make her lean in, lock eyes, and think, I don't know why, but I adore him. Most men kill attraction with their mouth. They talk too much, they over-explain, they flatter, they ramble. Weak men waste their words like confetti. But strong men, they speak with precision. They know the power of silence, and when they finally do speak, their words land like lightning. Women don't just hear them, they feel them. That's why I'm about to give you 8 phrases that do exactly that. They're not pickup lines. They're not gimmicks. They are psychological triggers dressed as simple words. And once you learn them, you'll understand why most men struggle, while a select few walk through life magnetic. So listen carefully, because after tonight, you'll never waste another word again. Brother, words are not harmless. They are weapons. In the mouth of a weak man, they crumble and lose meaning. In the mouth of a strong man, they cut through a woman's defenses and carve themselves into her memory. Marcus Aurelius said, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one." The same is true with speech. Waste no more words trying to impress women. Speak like a man who already is the standard, and she will feel it. Here's the problem most men face. They talk to women the way boys talk to their friends. They flatter endlessly. They try to convince. They talk about themselves. They throw compliments around like candy, thinking more is better. But the truth? Over-explaining is weakness. Over-flattering is desperation. Women don't crave words that make them roll their eyes. They crave words that pierce their soul. Words that communicate presence, certainty, respect, desire. Not empty chatter, but masculine speech. And that's what this video is about. I'm going to give you 8 phrases. Not cheesy lines, not manipulative tricks. These are truths delivered with masculine weight. Each one will strike at something primal in a woman, her need to feel safe, her hunger to be seen, her desire to feel chosen by a man who doesn't need her but wants her. When you master these, you won't be like the men who talk themselves out of attraction. You'll be the man who speaks less, says more, and leaves her haunted by your words. So let's begin. 8 phrases, 8 psychological triggers. And the first one is the most powerful, because it's the phrase every woman is starving to hear, but almost no man has the courage to say. Phrase 1. I see you. Most men only see the obvious. They see the dress, the smile, the body. They throw compliments at the surface like darts that never hit the target. But women don't crave to be seen as bodies. They crave to be seen as souls. When you say, I see you, you're not talking about her makeup or her curves. You're telling her that you notice the effort, the small details, the essence that makes her different from every other woman. And brother, when a woman feels truly seen, she will move mountains for you, because so few men ever give her that gift. Psychology backs this up. Human beings have a primal need for recognition, but women, especially, are drowning in surface-level attention. Every day, men flood her inbox with shallow lines. You're so hot, beautiful, sexy, empty, meaningless words. But the man who locks eyes and says with quiet certainty, I see you, disrupts the pattern. It bypasses her defenses. She stops. She wonders, what does he see? How does he know? That's the power of recognition. It makes you unforgettable. Take Victor, 45, twice divorced, burned by years of failed relationships. On his 3rd date with a younger woman, instead of praising her looks like every man before him, he said simply, I see how much thought you put into listening. Most people just wait to talk, but you actually pay attention. She froze. No one had ever noticed that before. Weeks later, she told him that single phrase made her feel more connected to him than years she spent with other men. Why? Because he saw what no one else cared to see. Seneca once wrote, to be loved is to be recognized. Think about that. Recognition is love in its rawest form. And when you speak those words, you're not flattering. You're affirming. You're saying, you're not invisible. You matter here. That, brother, is irresistible. Here's the shift. Don't waste your breath on surface-level praise. Any boy can call her pretty. But the man who says, "I see you," and means it, who notices the detail that others ignore, becomes unforgettable. She won't just admire you. She won't just desire you. She'll adore you because you gave her something rarer than diamonds. True recognition. Phrase 2. I've got this. Nothing calms a woman's heart faster than certainty. In a world of chaos, confusion, and men who crumble under pressure, the phrase, "I've got this," is pure oxygen. It signals leadership. It signals control. It signals that no matter how stormy the situation, you are the man who remains unshaken. Women are wired to crave security, not just physical safety, but emotional and psychological stability. And when you can look her in the eye and say, "I've got this," you awaken something ancient inside her. Trust. Psychology explains this through evolutionary triggers. For thousands of years, women survived by aligning with men who could protect them, guide them, and stay calm under threat. Today, the dangers have changed, but the wiring hasn't. If she senses uncertainty, weakness, or panic, her attraction fades. But if she feels you can carry weight without breaking, she leans in deeper. She relaxes. She feels safe enough to be vulnerable. And brother, a woman who feels safe will give herself to you completely. Take Robert, 50, divorced, 2 kids, rebuilding his life. One night, his girlfriend panicked when her car broke down late at night. She was ready to spiral, stress boiling over. Robert didn't lecture her. He didn't complain. He simply said, "I've got this." He called the tow truck, handled the details, and drove her home. Later, she told him those 3 words changed how she saw him. Not because of the car, but because she felt she could lean on him without fear. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." That's the heart of "I've got this." It's not about controlling every external situation. It's about controlling yourself so completely that she knows you'll guide her through it. Calm is contagious, certainty is magnetic, and leadership is irresistible. Here's the shift. Stop dumping your anxiety onto women. Stop showing cracks every time life throws a curveball. Instead, be the steady hand, the calm voice, the man who owns the storm. Because when she hears you say, "I've got this," she won't just believe in you, she'll adore you for the peace you bring into her chaos. Phrase 3. You make it better. Most men either overdo it with worship or underdo it with neglect. They either smother women with exaggerated compliments or they withhold appreciation completely, thinking it makes them look alpha. Both are weak. The truth is, women don't want to be worshipped, but they do want to feel valued. And that's where this phrase comes in. You make it better is not pedestalizing. It's acknowledging. It's telling her that her presence adds value to your already solid life. That balance, independence plus appreciation, is what makes it so magnetic. Psychology calls this relational reinforcement. It's the act of affirming contribution without giving away dominance. When you tell a woman, "You make it better," you're not saying, "I'm nothing without you." You're saying, "I'm complete on my own, but with you," the experience sharpens. This creates a rare combination, strength plus gratitude. And that's irresistible, because it shows her she's with a man who neither clings to her nor ignores her. Consider David, 48. He'd been dating a younger woman who was used to men either drooling over her or acting indifferent to prove they weren't desperate. But one night, after she brought him coffee while he worked late, he simply said, "You make it better." No theatrics, no worship, just truth. She told him later that it struck her harder than any "you're beautiful" ever had, because it made her feel both wanted and respected. Seneca wrote, "Nothing is more honorable than a grateful heart." Gratitude doesn't weaken a man, it strengthens him. But the key is balance. Too much, and you become dependent. None at all, and you become cold. The phrase "you make it better" walks that fine line with precision. It's gratitude without surrender, appreciation without pedestalizing. Here's the shift. Stop showering women with empty praise. Stop holding back out of fear. Use gratitude with strength. Let her know she adds value, but never in a way that suggests you couldn't stand without her. Because when she hears, you make it better, she doesn't just feel admired. She feels chosen by a man who stands strong on his own, yet honors her for what she brings. And that, brother, is a rare combination she'll never forget. Phrase 4. No. Most men live their lives terrified of this word. They think saying no will cost them love, affection, or approval. But the opposite is true. The fastest way to kill attraction is to be a man without boundaries, a man who bends every time she pushes. Women test, not because they want to dominate you, but because they want to feel your strength. And if every request, every demand, every test is met with a desperate yes, she doesn't see you as strong. She sees you as weak. The word no, spoken calmly and firmly, is not rejection, it's respect. Psychology explains this through boundary enforcement. Relationships thrive when both partners know the lines. Weak men erase their lines out of fear, hoping endless compliance will earn love. But attraction doesn't work that way. Women respect men who can stand their ground, who can say no without guilt, without anger, without apology. That's when she realizes this man cannot be controlled. And paradoxically, that's when she adores you more. Take Charles, 52. Divorced, starting over. His new girlfriend constantly pressured him to skip his gym sessions to spend more time with her. At first he gave in, thinking it would prove his devotion. But over time she lost respect. One day he looked her in the eye and said, "No, my training matters. I'll see you after." She pouted at first, but weeks later admitted that moment made her see him differently. Not as another man she could control, but as a man who stood on principle. Epictetus said, "No man is free who is not master of himself. Freedom is built on boundaries. If you can't say no, you're not in control of your life and you're in servitude. And no woman can truly adore a man who serves her instead of himself." Here's the shift. Stop fearing no. Stop thinking it makes you harsh or unloving. A calm, firm no is the most masculine thing you can say because it proves you value your time, your mission, your standards. Women don't need you to agree with everything. They need you to stand for something. And when you do, when you say no with strength, she'll feel something she doesn't feel around weak men. Respect. And respect, brother, is the root of adoration. Phrase 5. You're safe with me. Every woman, no matter how confident she looks, carries one silent question when she's around a man. Am I safe here? It's primal. It's wired into her DNA. Long before cars, cities, or dating apps, women survived by attaching themselves to men who could protect them. A man's ability to provide safety wasn't just attractive, it was life or death. That's why, even today, when you calmly convey safety, through your words, your tone, your body language, you awaken an instinct older than civilization itself. And when she hears the words, "You're safe with me," spoken with calm authority, something inside her relaxes. The walls come down. The testing stops. Her heart opens. But let's be clear, this doesn't mean you're her bodyguard or her therapist. Safety isn't about babysitting her emotions. It's about creating an energy around you that says, "I am in control. I won't harm you. And no one else will harm you while you're with me." Most men never master this. They fidget. They over-explain. They joke nervously. And without realizing it, they project insecurity, which is the opposite of safety. True safety comes from your presence, your composure, your ability to stay unshaken no matter what storm blows through the room. Take David, 49. After years of chaotic relationships, he finally realized why women always told him they couldn't fully trust him. He was fun, he was charming, but he was unpredictable. When arguments came, he'd explode. When money was tight, he'd collapse. One night, with a younger woman he'd just started dating, she confessed she'd had a rough past and struggled to trust men. Instead of reacting defensively or trying to solve it with promises, David leaned back, looked her dead in the eye, and said, "You're safe with me." He didn't over-explain. He didn't try to sell it. He embodied it. And from that moment, she was hooked. Seneca once said, "The greatest remedy for anger is delay." In other words, the man who can stay composed under pressure is the man who commands respect. Safety isn't created through force, but through calm dominance. Women don't crave men who are always nice. They crave men who are unshakable, men who can be leaned on when the world feels uncertain. Here's your shift. Stop trying to impress women with promises or performance. Instead, project stability. Move slower. Speak with gravity. And when the moment is right, say the words, "You're safe with me." If you embody them, she won't just believe you. She'll feel it in her bones. And once she feels safe in your presence, brother, adoration is not optional. It's automatic. Phrase 6. I trust you. Most men spend their lives begging for a woman's trust as if she's the gatekeeper of intimacy. They put her on the pedestal and wait, hoping she'll eventually hand over the keys. But here's the truth. Women aren't wired to fall in love with men who chase their trust. They fall in love with men who set the frame. When you look a woman in the eye and say, "I trust you," it does something powerful to her psychology. It flips the roles. Instead of her judging whether you're worthy, she suddenly feels the weight of living up to your faith in her. She doesn't want to betray it. She doesn't want to disappoint you. And that, my brother, is the kind of influence that makes her obsess over proving herself to you. Why does this work? Because trust isn't just a gift, it's a responsibility. When you give it too freely, it feels worthless. But when it comes from a man who is selective, composed, and clearly doesn't need her, it lands with impact. Most men think women want men who never trust them, who constantly test them. Wrong. That's paranoia, and paranoia is insecurity. What women crave is a man whose trust is scarce, but when he offers it, it feels like a crown placed on their head. That scarcity makes it sacred. Take Michael, 52. After years of getting burned, he swore he'd never trust women again. But all that did was make him bitter, suspicious, and alone. Then he flipped it. On a date with a 29-year-old woman, instead of interrogating her or acting cold, he simply said, "I trust you. Don't make me regret it." He didn't mean blind trust. He meant, "I'm giving you the opportunity to rise to my level." She leaned in instantly. Not because of the words themselves, but because of what they implied. This man was strong enough to risk being open, and confident enough to walk away if she failed. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The best revenge is not to be like your enemy." Apply that here. Don't be like the bitter men who let past betrayals harden them into paranoia. Don't be like the weak men who hand trust away like candy. Be different. Be the man who grants trust sparingly but with dignity. Here's your mindset shift. Trust is not weakness, it's power. By saying, "I trust you," you're not handing her control. You're inviting her to step into your world, under your terms. And when a woman feels that weight, she doesn't just like you. She invests in you. She protects the bond. And in protecting it, she deepens her obsession. Phrase 7. You're mine. Weak men avoid this phrase because they fear it sounds controlling. But here's the paradox. The very thing modern culture tells women to resist is the very thing their biology still craves. Deep inside, every woman longs to feel claimed, not as property, not as a possession, but as the chosen one of a man she respects. When you say "you're mine" with quiet confidence, you're not chaining her freedom. You're liberating her from doubt. You're giving her the gift of certainty in a world where men are too cowardly to stand firm. And when a woman feels chosen, she doesn't rebel, she melts. Psychologically, this phrase awakens a woman's primal instinct for pair bonding. Women don't fall in love through endless compliments or shallow flattery. They fall in love when a man draws a clear line in the sand and says, "I want you, and no one else gets this." But here's the catch. It only works if it comes from strength, not desperation. If a needy man says, "You're mine," it feels like a trap. But if a grounded, self-sufficient man says it, it feels like a crown placed on her head. The phrase becomes intoxicating because it signals both desire and dominance. Think of Robert, 47. He'd been casually dating a woman 20 years younger, and while she liked him, she kept testing him, pulling away, flirting with others, trying to provoke jealousy. Most men would have collapsed into begging or arguments. Instead, one night after she pushed too far, Robert pulled her close, looked her straight in the eyes, and whispered, "Enough. You're mine." He didn't raise his voice. He didn't explain. He just anchored himself in certainty. Her entire frame shifted. The game stopped. The tension turned into desire. From that night, she treated him differently, not because of the words alone, but because of the energy behind them. Epictetus once wrote, "No man is free who is not master of himself." And that's the key here. You can't say you're mine unless you've mastered yourself first. If you're saying it out of fear, she'll sense the weakness. But if you say it from a place of grounded strength, she'll feel something even she can't explain: relief. Because deep down, she wants a man who claims her without hesitation. Here's your shift. Don't be afraid to express possession. Not the insecure kind that chokes her, but the masculine kind that liberates her. When you say, "You're mine," with calm authority, you awaken her need to belong. And in belonging, she'll adore you in ways no nice guy ever will. Phrase 8. I don't need you, I choose you. This is the final phrase because it contains the greatest risk and the greatest reward. When a man says, "I don't need you, I choose you," he's doing 3 things at once. He's announcing independence, he's making a declaration, and he's handing her the highest form of respect. Need is weakness. Choice is power. Need says, "You fill my void." Choice says, "I'm whole, and I include you by will." Women don't fall for men who beg to be kept. They fall for men who elect them while standing on their own feet. Psychology explains why this line detonates attraction. Human beings crave agency, to be part of something by decision, not by accident. When you tell a woman you don't need her, you remove the desperate energy that suffocates desire. When you follow it with "I choose you," you convert that independence into commitment. It's the difference between hunger and generosity. Hunger demands, generosity offers. And nothing creates devotion faster than a man who gives his devotion freely, not out of lack, but out of surplus. Think of Tom, 49. He'd been burned twice and learned the hard lesson that clinging destroys respect. On a long drive with a woman he respected, she confessed doubts about whether he would stay when life got hard. Tom didn't argue. He didn't promise forever. He looked at her with calm eyes and said, "I don't need you, I choose you." That evening didn't end with fireworks. It ended with something quieter and far more dangerous, a surrendered trust. Weeks later, she told a friend that those words felt like an anchor she could safely tie her heart to, because they came from a man who already had a life she could join, not patch. Marcus Aurelius reminded us, "He who lives in harmony with himself lives in harmony with the universe." When you are whole, your love is a choice, not a plea. Saying this phrase is not manipulation. It is the clearest statement of self-mastery you can offer. It tells her, you are wanted. You are not necessary. It gives her the dignity of being selected and the freedom to respond without pressure. And that combination, freedom plus selection, is the bedrock of deep, lasting adoration. So here's the shift. Live a life you don't need to fill. Build your mission, cultivate your friends, sharpen your body, and steady your mind. Walk into any room knowing you are already complete. Then, when you meet a woman worthy of your life, tell her plainly, "I don't need you, I choose you." Say it once, say it calm, and mean it. She will feel the weight of that choice in her bones, and the rest of the world will feel smaller around you. We close with a truth that outlives every pickup trick and every fleeting technique. Words are only as powerful as the man who speaks them. A phrase from a desperate voice is paper. A phrase from a grounded man is iron. You cannot speak these 8 lines and expect miracles if your life is a house built on sand. Stoicism teaches us that externals are indifferent. What matters is the inner citadel. Marcus Aurelius, Seneca, Epictetus. They did not tell us to sculpt our words to please others, but to sculpt our souls so our words carry gravity. Have you ever wondered why one sentence from one man can haunt a woman for days, while 1,000 compliments from another evaporate instantly? It's because the haunted line came from a man who lived with intention. His words were the natural consequence of a life aligned. These 8 phrases are not scripts to be recited mechanically. They are expressions that naturally grow from men who have built their lives, men who are disciplined, who face hardship, who keep their word, who value their time. When your presence matches your speech, your words land like thunder. When it doesn't, they're meaningless noise. So do the work, brother. Become the man who can honestly say those phrases because he lives them. Build routine, sharpen discipline, carry stoic calm into your days. Let your life be the reason your speech is taken seriously. The woman who adores a man who speaks like this is not worshiping a facade. She's recognizing a whole man, a center of gravity she can rely on. That is rare. That is sacred. That is what your words should earn. If you felt this, if the truth hit like a bell in your chest, then make this a moment of decision. Comment the phrase below, words of weight. Let that be your oath, that you will stop wasting speech on noise, that you will build the life that makes your words matter. Subscribe if you haven't yet, because we don't preach pretty theories here. We sharpen men into presence, into purpose, into something other men cannot ignore and women cannot forget. Share this with one brother who still thinks more talk equals more value. Teach him the opposite. Fewer words, deeper weight, steady presence. Practice these phrases, but only after you build the life that gives them truth. Speak them when you truly mean them. Otherwise, they're just echoes. Be ruthless about your time, exacting about your standards, and merciful to yourself in the work. Remember the final truth. The boy flatters for attention. The man speaks to create meaning. The boy begs for love. The man chooses to give it. Become the man whose words are iron, whose silence is a border, and whose presence is a home. Say the 8 phrases not as tricks, but as the vocabulary of a man who refuses to be small. Speak less, carry more, and watch the world and the women in it respond to the gravity of a life properly lived.